Swahili Bible Time Monday morning. Dominic Steele, and apologies, a little late posting this morning. It was a big Sunday and I'm having a slower Monday morning than usual. Now, men meeting the challenges on this weekend. This Saturday morning, the village guys are gathering at 8 a.m. for bacon and egg breakfast, and then the whole session kicks off for it's just a Saturday morning conference for guys. Kicks off at 9. Hope you can join us from 8 this Saturday morning. Go to villagechurch.sydney/community for details. Now, Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a high and lofty throne, and the hem of his robe filled the temple. Now, the date of King Uzziah's death is uncertain. Isaiah 6 says, in the year that King Uzziah died. When was that? Well, estimates vary from 742 BC to 735 BC. Now, King Uzziah, who was he? What was his story? This is the account of his life in 2 Chronicles 26. Let me read it to you. All the people of Judah took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in place of his father Amaziah. After Amaziah the king had rested with his ancestors, Uzziah rebuilt Eloth and restored it to Judah. Uzziah was 16 years old when he became king. He reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jechaliah. She was from Jerusalem. He did what was right in the Lord's sight, just as his father Amaziah had done. So a 52-year reign, and he did what was right. He sought God throughout the lifetime of Zechariah, the teacher of the fear of God. During the time he sought the Lord, God gave him success. Uzziah went out to wage war against the Philistines. He tore down the wall of Gath, the wall of Jabneh, and the wall of Ashdod. He built cities in the vicinity of Ashdod and among the Philistines. God helped him against the Philistines. The Arabs that live in Gurbaal and the Menuites, the Ammonites paid tribute to Uzziah, and his fame spread as far as the entrance of Egypt, for God made him very powerful. Uzziah built towers in Jerusalem at the corner gate, the valley gate, and the corner buttresses, and he fortified them. Since he had many cattle both in the Judean foothills and the plain, he built towers in the desert and dug many wells. And since he was a lover of the soil, he had farmers and vine dressers in the hills and in the fertile lands. Uzziah had an army equipped for combat that went out to war by division according to their assignments, as recorded by Jeiel, the court secretary, and Messiah, the officer under the authority of Hananiah, one of the king's commanders. The total number of family heads was 2,600 valiant warriors. Under their authority was an army of 307,000, equipped for combat, a powerful force to help the king against the enemy. Uzziah provided the entire army with shields, spears, helmets, armors, bows, slingshots. He made skillfully designed devices in Jerusalem to shoot arrows and catapult large stones for use on the towers and on the corners. His fame spread to distant places. He was wondrously helped until he became strong. But when he became strong, he grew arrogant, and it led to his own destruction. He acted unfaithfully against the Lord his God by going into the Lord's sanctuary to burn incense on the incense altar. Goes on, verse 21, so King Uzziah was diseased. To the time of his death, he lived in quarantine with a serious skin disease, and he was excluded from access to the Lord's temple, while his son Jotham was over the king's household, governing the people of the land. In the year that King Uzziah died, the prophet Isaiah says, Isaiah 6:1, yep, he had great, mighty military achievements. Yep, great building projects. Yep, great agricultural development. There'd been no king like Uzziah since the days of Solomon. But, like Solomon, he became proud and unfaithful and experienced the judgment of God in his own personal life. That is such a warning to us as leaders in the people of God. Starting well, going well, and then sin. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And the people of Judah as a whole, they were complacent in their prosperity. They were complacent in their rebellion against God. And we've seen what happens there in Isaiah 1-5. So we get to chapter 6. in the year King Uzziah died. And little did Judah know, notes Young, that the great glory and the national pride of Judah it's facing an end. It will never rise again. And so this critical year, in the year King Uzziah died, Isaiah sees the Lord in a vision sitting on a throne high and lifted up. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a high and lofty throne, and the hem of his robe filled the temple. Now what the prophet Isaiah sees, he does not see with the bodily eye, notes Peterson. God is not visible. He cannot be seen by mortals directly. Isaiah sees the Lord in a vision, in human form, sitting on a throne. He sees God as the great King. The glory and majesty of the Lord are portrayed in terms that are recognizable from our understandings of earthly monarchy, but clearly his greatness and power surpasses all. Isaiah is given a glimpse into the very throne room of God. And what does he see? Well, that's tomorrow on Daily Bible Time. Look forward to seeing you then. God bless.